Well, hello! Welcome back to my channel. Jashanac here to talk about some friggin' books. I just have 3 today and no DNFs. Is this the first recent wrap-up in a while that doesn't have a DNF? I think it is. Oh, Lord. Let's just jump right in. The first one is a reread, The Rose and the Dagger by Renee, Ahdieh. You probably knew this was coming because I recently reread The Wrath and the Dawn. And the first time that I read this, I cannot remember what I rated it. Oh, I apparently gave it 5 stars the first time around. I did really love this series the first time around. And I gave The Wrath and the Dawn 5 as well. But on the reread, I gave it 4.5, just a little less. I think knowing the story made me like a little less like, oh my god, I love them so much. This one, though, I still really enjoyed this, but same kind of thing where upon the reread, I was like a little bit less engaged with it, and also the first like half of this one, the setting, I didn't love a heck of a lot, I guess, but I love this duology. I will definitely reread it in my life again. And this one is young adult, and like it's again part of a duology. It's the second book, young adult fantasy. It's a 1001 Nights reimagining, retelling. So it's in an Arabian-inspired world, Middle Eastern-inspired world, and this one picks up basically right where the first book left off. And I don't want to talk too much about the plot because that would spoil shit. I liked getting to know some of these characters a little bit more, some of the side characters. And yeah, that was enjoyable, especially Shazi's sister. We got to know her a little bit more, and that was really nice because she's just adorable. Some of the plot stuff towards the end may have been like slightly convenient, I guess, but I don't hate that. I don't know. That's not the biggest point of the book or the biggest part of it necessarily. I still really enjoy the romance, and like I said, I enjoyed the characters, getting to know the side characters a little bit more, and there's some like epic moments that were really cool. I fucking hate Tariq. He's such an idiot. I just cannot with him. In the first book on the reread, I like really hated him, and I was like, this motherfucker is so annoying. And then in this book, he does some shit at the end where I was just like, bro, why would she ever pick you over Khalid? Because you're an idiot. Just a temperamental fucking idiot. Oh my god. Just not smart. He's just not fucking smart. It is what it is. But yeah, I enjoyed this. I ended up giving it 4.25 Pushinicorns. And then I read City of Brass by S.A. Chakraborty. This is adult fantasy, and this is also set in a Middle Eastern inspired world, partially North African for a little bit. We are in Egypt, but this is a different world. It's called Egypt and such, but in Cairo. She's living in Cairo, our main character. But there is magic in this world. There are jinn in this world, and they are another, I guess, race of beings. And it's in like the 18th century as well, so it's kind of a historical type thing. And we have our main character, Nari, who, like I said, lives on the streets of Cairo, and she kind of swindles people, does like fake readings for them, palm readings and tarot readings and stuff like that. But she also has a knack for healing. She can feel people's and like sense people's injuries or illnesses, and she can do some level of seemingly like magical healing, and she doesn't have any explanation for why she can do this. It's just always been a thing, and she keeps it real quiet. She also naturally heals. Like if she gets injured, her skin just heals. Again, she has no idea why. She doesn't really question it too much. She just kind of tries to keep her head down and survive. She is very much in survival mode. And she, in this process of kind of swindling people and getting money, does this whole ritual thing to like get a little girl who they think is possessed, I think is how it starts. And she sings this song and does this whole little ritual thing. And next thing she knows, she's being chased by some ifrit, some magical ghouls and fire beings, and then is being saved by a jinn named Dara. His full name is, I can't pronounce, Dara Vayashu, I don't know. Jess could tell me because she loves him. Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this, and the premise after that point where she's getting saved is this jinn, Dara, wants to take her back to his magical ancient city full of jinn called Daevabad. And a bunch of things happen, obviously. There's lots of court politics, and there's some kind of quest adventure stuff happening. They're on a journey, and we get to know a lot of different magical beings in this world and the different jinn tribes and their politics with each other and the history of their world. It's very complicated. It's very intense. It's not a great history. They do not all get along. There's kind of revolution murmurings brewing in Daevabad, and it's a whole thing. We also follow, so we're following Nari and Dara, and then also one of the princes in Daevabad, Ahdieh. We're following him as well. They are the main points of view in the book. And there's some other characters that you get to know also, but those are like the main 3 POVs. I really enjoyed this a lot. In this book, I didn't necessarily feel super connected with any of the characters, which is fine. But I enjoyed the characters because I felt like they are all very complex. There were points in this book where I was so fucking annoyed with all of them at various points. I was like, oh my god, what are you fucking doing? Ahdieh was making me crazy. He is fanatic, like a religious fanatic a little bit, which is not my jam. Don't love that. Dara also is a little bit of a religious fanatic, though, on the opposite end. And it's just a whole thing. And they were driving me crazy. But then Nari also was driving me crazy here and there. And I will say there is a romance that kind of starts and then things happen where it kind of has to stop. But the start of it, I didn't love, and I didn't buy into it. And later, when these characters are still like thinking of each other and pining after each other and like, oh, they mean so much to me, I was kind of like, why though? Because you didn't spend that much time together. It wasn't like soulmates that have been together for a decade and now they're ripped apart. It was like we got to know each other for a couple months and we were sort of falling for each other. And then now we're separated and like doing our own things separately and like we don't see each other as much and like we can't be together. But like I still just think about him so much. And it just, I don't know, unrequited love, that type of like pining after and like not getting over shit just doesn't connect with me. So I didn't love that. But I didn't hate it either. I wasn't like mad about it. It didn't bring down my enjoyment at all. The world is so fucking cool. I love this world. I mean, as I mentioned, and I mentioned it in my recent book haul, which I don't know if that's up yet or not, but I'm really on a kick with like Middle Eastern, Indian, African fantasy. I've known for a little while that I tend to just kind of lean toward that as far as if you're going for like a non-European fantasy. That region, I know that's a very wide region of the world, but those types of stories, those types of settings, just really, I love the folklore, the mythology being brought into a fantasy of those various places of the world. I love it. I really love it. And I've known for a little while about, like I said, like African fantasy specifically. But yeah, like this Middle Eastern, Indian, sort of somewhat North African, I really like it. I really like it a lot. And I really enjoyed the writing style as well. It's a fairly good-sized book. And there wasn't necessarily super exciting shit happening all the time. But like I said, the characters are so complex. The world is really cool. The politics are complicated. and I feel like well fleshed out, and the way she writes the story is really engaging. It's not even like, ooh, action-packed all the time, so it's a page turner. But for me, it's just a page turner because I'm engaged with the story. Like, I want to know what's gonna happen, you know? I don't know, I just really liked it. So I gave this 5 Pushinicorns. At the end, there were some things that happened where I was like, what the fuck? I was kind of yelling a bit, and I was very, very pumped to start the next book, and I started it basically immediately. So that is Kingdom of Copper by S.A. Chakraborty. Now, this took me a hot second to read through because, as you know, if you watched my vlog, my 24-hour like impromptu reading vlog, if I sit down and actually like tell myself I'm going to focus on reading for a day, I can read a fair amount, but I don't do that. And I didn't. And I was enjoying this, but I just kept like barely reading in a day and then getting distracted doing other things and just whatever. So it took me a minute. But yeah, this is book 2, so I don't want to get too much into plot. I will just a heads up because I know this bothers a lot of people. There is a time jump in the beginning of this book. We have, I think it's a prologue first, right? Is it a prologue or is it just, yeah, there's a prologue. And then we jump ahead, I think in the very first chapter, we jump ahead a few years. I don't hate a time jump necessarily. I don't know, it doesn't really bother me. The only thing that bothered me about it is that the end of City of Brass, I was like led to believe that one of the characters was about to go off. And I was like, oh, fuck. I can't wait to see what they're going to do at the beginning of the next book because it seems like they have a plan and they're about to do some shit. And then we jump ahead 5 years and we're like, just living life. And I was like, oh, okay. So, yeah, and that was kind of a thing in this book where I was a little bit frustrated with one of our characters who I felt was very much full of inaction. This character is not really doing shit, and I get it. Their circumstances, they're first of all very busy with what they're doing in this book. Like they're quite busy, so they don't really have a lot of time to sit here and like scheme and whatever. And also just the circumstances, they don't love their circumstances, and they're kind of just trying to live and trying to be okay with this and just being kept busy with their work. So I get it, but it's like the whole time I'm like, come on, be 2 steps ahead of XYZ person. And they just weren't. They were constantly a step behind, at least, if not multiple steps behind. Just not being clever, not outwitting anybody, and I just want them to outwit someone. And then another character who I'm trying to be very vague because talking about which character could be spoilery because you'll know that they're alive. But there's a character that fucking drove me nuts in this book. Oh my God, I just can't get behind their actions. It's not justified to me, and they're just dumb. Like, they are just very dumb to me. And they seem to be quite a polarizing character as well. People either love them or hate them, and I'm leaning more towards the hate side currently. But again, even though I was incredibly frustrated with these characters at various points, I like them. And some of the other characters, there's one side character in particular, I just cannot wait to see what happens with them in Empire of Gold, because I feel like some big shit is going to go down, and I just cannot fucking wait. Oh my God. And I'm just really hoping that some of them step up and start being cunning and clever and outwitting the bad guys, because I need them to lose. I'm sure they will by the end of it, but I can't wait for it to happen. I'm ready. My body is ready for it to happen. There's a line in here that I wrote, or I tabbed as a quote to save. It's not necessarily this like beautiful prose or anything, but I was just like, ooh, that hits close to home. It's a male character talking to a female character, and he had said something kind of cruel, and he goes, I shouldn't have said that. I'm sorry. I was upset about blah, blah, blah. And then this female character goes, I've had enough of men hurting me because they were upset. And it says her voice was hard, so much so that he looked startled, but she didn't care. And I was just like, oh, bitch. Yes. I relate to this too much. Oh, God. This one I didn't rate quite as high as City of Brass. Just, there was some stuff happening with basically the bad guys in here and their whole mentality. It's very Trumpian. There's like this huge divide happening in Daevabad where like different members of the community, different citizens, like fucking hate each other to the point of like revolting and rioting and like killing each other, slaughtering each other. And the fucking leadership is like, oh, we have to rule with an iron fist and be cruel and like make them fear us, even though that just keeps creating more problems. And then when those problems come up, their answer is be more cruel, be more ruthless, keep them in line even more. And I'm like, bitch, what the fuck are you not getting about your process is not working? Like, your solution is doing the opposite. And it's like so fucking obvious. And I just can't with that kind of obstinate, like, just, I don't want to fucking see the truth. And it's like, it's being presented to you right in front of your face over and over again, that what you're doing is just making the problem fucking worse. And they're like, no, it's not. I don't want to see that. Like, but it is though. You're so fucking annoying. And so that just like, it frustrated me to the point of slightly bringing my enjoyment down, because I'm just like, dude, okay. You're so fucking illogical. You're dumb. You're so dumb. And I know it's like realistic because we've seen it in real life. But it's just not a fun time. So I ended up giving this one 4.5 Pushinicorns. Still very high. Slightly lower than the first one. So there we go. I was hoping to have another book that I've been reading finished by today, but I did not at all in any way, shape, or form. So just those 3 today. As always, thank you so much for your time. Hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.